Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, November 24, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at what the U.S. National Hurricane Center is showing on their 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We can see that we now have 6 more days until we wrap up the hurricane season, and yet we still have something that they're monitoring. Remember yesterday, this area had a medium chance, 40% that is, of possible tropical cyclone development within the next 7 days. And we can see that that chance has dropped down to a code yellow, a 20% chance. Still could be possible to develop within the next 7 days as it treks towards the north and east, maybe close towards the western Azores Island. We can see that the rest of the Atlantic is very much quiet at this time. As relates to the next 7 days across the Caribbean, so we're going to be looking at this year right here. So we're going to be going on to the next one in just 68 hours, and we calculate that that's the next 7 days. And we're going to be focusing our attention also right here across the Caribbean near Jamaica for some amount of moisture, greens, whatever we can see that takes shape. We don't see much, a lots of whites, maybe some light shades of greens. That's on the low end of the scale in terms of rainfall. But we do see some one or two passing showers, especially to the south of Jamaica within the next 7 days on the Euro model, that is. So we're gonna stop right here. This is valid for 12 on Friday, December 1. That's actually 7 a.m. And see, we don't see much happening. No contour lines, no L's that mean areas of low pressure. What does the GFS show for the same time period? So we can see, yes, some greens represent some passing one or two showers, especially to the south of the island from east to west. And we're stopping right here as well on Friday. And we can see that it's not much happening, just a lot of whites. Lots of dry air, lots of more in the way of sunshine that's going to be taking place. And it makes sense that the accumulated precipitation forecasts are matching up to what was forecasted on the 1 hour totals that we just saw, with more in the way of all of that isolated rainfall passing to the south of the island, bringing more in the way of those blues that represent maybe 1 inch or a little bit more than an inch of rainfall or more to section of the water to the south of Jamaica on the Euro model. GFS something similar, but it's trying to incorporate more of that rainfall into sections of eastern Jamaica, so we'll see exactly how that unfolds. As it relates to the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that we don't have much happening across the Atlantic basin. An area of high pressure right there to the northeast of the Caribbean. We can see an area of low pressure right here to the north of the main development region. It's this system that has a chance of development, a low chance, a code yellow, within the next 7 days by the Hurricane Center. We can also see a cold front that stretches all the way from northern section of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of the northern Bahamas and the Gulf of Mexico. When we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica and the Caribbean before the sun went down, we can see not much taking place. The clouds associated with that airflow pressure spinning away to the north of the main development region, and it has a lot of clouds associated with it, stretching all the way down into portions of the southern main development region and the intertropical convergence zone. We can also see some of those leftover clouds from that cold front still affecting portions of the northeastern Caribbean islands, and we can also see the clouds associated with that cold front that we mentioned across sections of Florida and the Gulf of Mexico. We'll be talking more about the weather across the Caribbean later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today. It was stated that northeastern Jamaica could have received some morning rainfall on Friday morning, and that central and western parishes in Jamaica would have gotten in on some amount of rainfall. And we know we're talking about sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland when it comes to the north east, especially Portland side. And central and western parishes, we know central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, so St. Anne, St. Mary, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester. Western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? Although we did make a post for what happened in the morning, didn't have the time at the time, and we apologize for that. So we didn't get to confirm that rainfall across northeastern Jamaica. But at the beginning of these satellite images, is it does seem like we indeed had some amount of rainfall across the northeastern portions of the island. Then all of that made its way into sections of the central and western portions of the island. So definite sections of Hanover and inland areas of some central parishes got some amount of overcast skies and isolated shores. And this post was made by around 2:55 p.m. It was posted on our Twitter page. Keep in mind that we don't only make these posts on our Twitter page, but our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok page. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there. So, taking a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down up until this point, we can see where we indeed had those clouds across inland areas of some central parishes, definitely western Jamaica, so northwestern St. Elizabeth, sections of eastern and southern Westmoreland, as well as Hanover got in on most of that rainfall. And we can also see that we indeed have some more clouds still coming in from the east across the island, maybe sections of St. Thomas and Portland, maybe, a cloudy set of skies tonight, so not much in the way of stars, or maybe if the moon is out, not much gonna be seen at all. But we can see that the infrared satellite images are quite relaxed at this time. We don't see those high cold cloud tops that indicate some cumulonimbus clouds or thunderstorm activity. As we know, those are indicated by the blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, blacks, grays, and purples. And we don't see anything at all happening. All we see are the lighter patches of clouds, so some low level clouds right here, not much taking place. This relates to what's happening on the Cuban Doppler radar images right now. All we see right now are some amount of isolated patches of showers right there to the southeast of the island associated with those low-level clouds that we just mentioned. And we can also see some rainfall, some green, and even a yellow patch right there off the coast of Westmoreland. And we can even see it better right here with the grays associated with that weather of the southwestern portion of the island. This relates to what took place across Jamaica for today. We're looking mainly on the See Jamaica live cam from halfway through. Keep in mind that you can see live streams of this on their YouTube channel, that's See Jamaica, where they show the live view of the Kingston Harbor, overlooking the city of Kingston, Crossroads, and even the halfway tree era. So we can see that for the most part it was a sunny day, as we can see right here on the halfway tree cam. Not much taking place in terms of rainfall or anything like that. Just one or two passing clouds here and there, and this was valid for about 1:43 p.m. today. As it relates to the temperatures right now, we can see we have 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by around 3 a.m. on Saturday, the temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see that November 25, 18Z, that's 1 p.m., has a lot of yellows and some amount of gold and even orange colors that represent 1 to 2 or even 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures across Jamaica. And we know the temperatures for the month of November across Jamaica are about 88 degrees Fahrenheit. We take a look at the thermometer, that's about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30 to 33 degrees Celsius across Jamaica for Saturday. As relates to the dry air map, you can still see that there's a lot of dry air across the entire Caribbean, including Jamaica, as indicated by the key at the bottom that shows yellows, oranges, and so on. It's related to the Saharan dust forecast. 2 p.m. on Saturday has majority of the Saharan dust, as indicated by those light brown colors, across Africa and the eastern to central main development region. Jamaica definitely going to be in the clear. As it relates to the wave forecast, we can see the blues surrounding the island. And we take a look at the key at the bottom right. The blues are indicative of anywhere from 0.5 for meter to at least 1.5 meter, maybe even getting up to 2 meter wave height. And that's because the winds are going to be coming in from the east tomorrow, and we can see the greens that represent the strength of the wind as indicated by the key on the bottom right. The strength of the wind gonna be gusting in those greens up to 20 knots from the east, and we can see that we don't have much air coming in across sections of some inland areas of some central and western parishes. So we might have some of those cumulus clouds piling up, then we might have those clouds building and then getting heavy afterwards, bringing some amount of rainfall during Saturday afternoon. And we can see that as it relates to the upper level winds, those are coming in from the west across the island, so that might favor some lingering afternoon into evening rainfall as well as some overcast skies across the island. As it relates to the rainfall forecast, now we don't see much happening across the Jamaica area from the morning to the early afternoon. It's the late afternoon that we start to see the blues that represent rainfall. And we start to see the consensus with this rainfall around 4 p.m. Look at this, the euro is a bit robust, showing rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes in Jamaica. More in the way of St. Mary, Western Portland, Kingston, and St. Andrew for the east. Majority of central and western Jamaica, and we see much of the same on the GFS model. GFS showing some even dark shades of blues across sections of St. Catherine, Kingston, and St. Andrew, the border of Trelawney and St. Anne. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what unfolds at 4 p.m. on Saturday. We can see that by 6 p.m. we still have some blues right there across the north and the south of the island. GFS is a bit more robust, showing the same thing that the Euro just showed on the north and the south. So definitely central and western Jamaica, but it's starting to incorporate some more of eastern Jamaica, so St. Thomas and Portland. But that's just on the GFS, so we'll see exactly how that unfolds, whether the Euro or the GFS will win for that time. Either way, we know our parishes, so definitely northern parishes, southern parishes, definitely a section of some central and western parishes are going to be in the forecast for some amount of rainfall. And that's relates to the accumulated precipitation forecast. Keep in mind that both of these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. We're not saying that it's going to be raining all the way up until then, but within the next 24 hours, definitely we're going to be receiving some amount of rainfall across the Jamaica area. You can see the Euro model getting only up to 0.21 of an inch of rainfall, the GFS model making it up to 0.23 of an inch of rainfall. And we're indeed grateful for the rainfall that we're going to be receiving. We're in the month of November, we're wrapping up our rainy season across Jamaica. It's only a matter of time before we're in the months of December through to April, and the dry season is dry seasoning, and we are dying for more rainfall. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see that we don't have much taking place across the Venezuela area, but we do see that we have some thunderstorm activity across sections of French Guiana, Suriname, Guyana, sections of maybe the Windward Islands, Puerto Rico, the waters to the north of Puerto Rico, especially maybe the Dominican Republic, not so much across central and eastern Cuba, but western Cuba getting in on some of that. As usual, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, as well as Guyana and El Salvador getting in on some amount of rainfall. And as relates to the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we can see that right now we do have some isolated showers taking place across sections of northern Puerto Rico, especially sections of southwestern Guadeloupe, as well as the waters to the north and east of Dominica. Even St. Lucia getting in on some of that rainfall as we speak. And taking a look at the Barbados radar, we do see some rainfall coming in from the east northeast across Barbados later on tonight. We can see it's about to hit the island. If we even zoom in a bit closer, we can see some of that rainfall, especially going to be, heading into the northern portion of the island. We can see that rainfall coming in right now across sections of St. Lucia, maybe sections of St. Vincent later on tonight. We can see that rainfall right there to the south and east of Tobago, maybe gonna be getting in some amount of rainfall tonight into tomorrow as well, maybe even spilling into sections of northern Trinidad. As relates to the wider view of Doppler radar images, you can see that rainfall right there across the waters of the Gulf of Mexico heading into Florida, so they're definitely going to be getting in on more rainfall tonight into tomorrow, all courtesy of that cold front. As it relates to the temperature forecast, we can see some blues across sections of the eastern Caribbean that represent some below normal temperatures. But for majority of the basin, from the Bahamas, Florida, majority of the Greater Antilles into Central America, it's gonna be those yellows and oranges that indicate up to 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. As it relates to the siren dust forecast, you can see that majority of the Caribbean is in the clear for 2 p.m. on Saturday, while a majority of this main development region is getting plagued by that siren dust, but it's on the low end of the scale. That's some brown, some light shades of brown, so it's not that robust. If we saw some darker shades of browns now, that would be a different story. As relates to the wave forecast, we can see that for majority of the Caribbean, we should be receiving anywhere from 0.5 of a meter to at least up to 2 meter wave heights, and that's because the winds are going to be averaging anywhere from, let's say, 10 to at least 25 knots, especially where we see those yellows. That's where we're going to be getting those gusts up to 25 knots. The greens, as usual, up to anywhere from 15 to 20 knots. And we can see that for the most part, the winds are going to be coming in from the east on both Euro and GFS malls. As it relates to the rainfall forecast, we still see that there's a lot more rainfall expected across the waters of the Gulf of Mexico, as indicated by those reds and even some purples in there. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS model agree with this. We can also see some isolated shores across sections of southern and eastern Florida, sections of the Bahamas, not to mention some rainfall across sections of the northeastern Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, maybe some isolated showers across sections of St. Kitts and St. Martin, and we can also see some more rainfall across sections of Guadeloupe, maybe Dominica, and we can especially see that rainfall across sections of Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, not to mention sections of northeastern Venezuela, southern Venezuela, sections of Guyana, as well as sections of Suriname and French Guyana. We can also see some rainfall right there across sections of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, and even sections of southeastern Mexico right there in the Yucatan. And we can also see that there's not much in the way of rainfall for the Cayman Islands at all, not to mention Cuba. So we know that when we're looking at both of these maps and when they're in sync like this, the chances of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.